Ahoy, me hearties. Mate Markham here. Sort of. You've probably noticed that I've actually looked a little bit better. First off, I'll be fine, hopefully. There's a plan to fix it, but first let me tell you what happened. We were in a city called Giata, and we all split up to do whatever we were doing. Meant to meet back up at the stanza. But the captain shows back up after we were all doing whatever we're doing, and she's all excited. Apparently, she had visited a friend at an antiquity shop who had a really old map. It supposedly showed some locations that had something to do with some sort of ancient civilization that hadn't existed for a good long time. The captain explained that her friend was willing to part with this map, but because she's now sold it and bought it back for 4 different times, because who had it had never actually found anything with it. So, the rest of us shared a skeptical look, and the captain just smiled and asked us to trust her, all the while overseeing a long box delivered to the stanza. So, we pack up, we hit the skies, and we soar off towards one of the spots indicated on this map. On the way, the captain had us crack open her mystery box, and Bosun Redblade started putting up these long mirrors up in the rigging. Bosun started to adjust them with her expert eye to focus on the horizon, so they were... Alright, I'm done pretending I know what they were on about. But either way, the ship looked like a piece of quartz in a bright day as we made our way towards our destination. We get where we're going at night, and I was about to turn in when the captain announced that we should be ready for a landing action. We swung the stanza about a few times, and a curious thing happened. Our shiny mirror rigging thing reflected the moonlight in a curious way, off on a spot on our starboard. Before our very eyes, we saw something shimmer into being, a castle in the clouds. Well, castle's a bit of a stretch, but it wouldn't be off to call it a structure, or something like a barbarian king of the long past might have been buried in. We made our way onto this floating island and its great stone cairn, and nets and boxes in tow to drag off some treasure. A great stone tunnel led us inside, and we started to search around, all of us feeling a little bit like we were being watched. Something wasn't right in a hurry, and when we got inside the place proper, my senses started swimming, and I heard voices and saw flashes of light and smelled strange smells. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a white misty face drift by me, eyes flashing with murderous intent. I whipped out my knife and meant to put it up to a throat, and got within an inch of doing so, when I felt a pistol in my gut. All of a sudden, I'm face to face with an astonished Admiral Bowman, who apparently mistook me for the same kind of thing that I saw her as. To our right, the captain and the bosun are having a similar standoff. The mistake wasn't the worst thing about it, though. I felt a rage I hadn't felt in years directed at my shipmates, which made no sense. It seemed that my mind was betraying me as bad as my eyes. We all 4 got into a screaming argument. What are we even doing here? How stupid do we have to be to follow a map from some charlatan? Who agreed with this idea and all that? As I said, my mind was all over the place, and I think it was Bowman who made the first attempt to calm us down. Just as we started to come around as a group, we heard a voice billow about us. "You've come to my grave, and now you shall share it," said the voice. "I am murdered, and in such violence must you all dwell unto your deaths," or some such. I snapped to quickest, and I said, "Being, we meant no offense and have no wish to share your fate. These are my much-loved shipmates, and will bring them no harm." A ghostly vision was all of a sudden right in my face. A floating man, pale blue in color, in a tattered robe and a hood of rotted leather. It was the angriest face I had ever seen, most hate-filled eyes that any person had clapped eyes upon themselves. "I will warp your minds unto murder. No 4 souls alone can disperse my hatred," it said. This stunned us for a moment, and clearly an idea came to the captain. She began to softly sing a song. We all heard her and joined in, the power of our musical account strengthening our resolve. The song was one of violence and mayhem, that theme somehow absorbing and dismissing the anger that this being fired at us like a cannon shot. We finished that song, started and finished another with the same theme and the same intent. The being fell silent and seemed at least partially mollified. It said it felt its rage lessening, though, alas, he spoke true. We 4 alone were unable to do it fully. We there and then did promise that we would carry away his rage and spread it about with those very songs that we sang. He agreed and allowed us to depart, though not unchanged, and didn't even really seem all that annoyed, though, that we helped ourselves to a few scattered artifacts lying about. So here I stand before you, full of the rage of a long-dead priest or something. The two songs hereafter are for you to enjoy, but also to help us clear this curse up, and hopefully let a ghost feel some peace. And, hopefully let my face get back to normal. I hope you enjoy, or at least listen. Please?
The Shankhill butcher's right tonight. You better shut your windows tight. They're sharpening their cleavers and their knives, and taking all their whiskey by the pints, 'cause everybody knows if you don't mind your mother's words, a wicked wind will blow your ribbons from your curls. Everybody move, everybody shake. Shankhill butchers wanna get you awake. They used to be just like me and you. They used to be sweet little boys, but something went horribly askew. Now killing is their only source of joy, 'cause everybody knows if you don't mind your mother's words, a wicked wind will blow your ribbons from your curls. Everybody move, everybody shake. The Shankhill butchers wanna get you away. Shankhill butchers on the rise. They're waiting to the dead of night. They're picking at their fingers with their knives, and wiping off their cleavers on their thighs, 'cause everybody knows if you don't mind your mother's words, a wicked wind will blow your ribbons from your curls. Everybody move, everybody shake. The Shankhill butchers wanna get you. Shankhill butchers wanna get you. Shankhill butchers wanna get you away. About a maid, I'll sing a song, sing rickety-tickety-tin. About a maid, I'll sing a song who didn't have her family long. Not only did she do them wrong, she did every one of them in. She did every one of them in. One morning morning in a fit of pique, sing rickety-tickety-tin. One morning in a fit of pique, she drowned her father in the creek. The water tasted bad for a week, and we had to make do with gin, with gin. We had to make do with gin. Mother she could never stand, sing rickety-tickety-tin. Her mother she could never stand, and so a cyanide soup she planned. Her mother died with a spoon in her hand, and her face in a hideous grin, a grin, her face in a hideous grin. She set her sister's hair on fire, sing rickety-tickety-tin. She set her sister's hair on fire, and as the smoke and flame rose higher, they danced around the funeral pyre, playing a violin, oh Lynn, she was playing a violin. She weighted her brother down with stones, and rickety-tickety-tin. She weighted her brother down with stones and sent him off to Davy Jones. All they ever found was some bones and the occasional pieces of skin, the occasional pieces of skin. One day she had nothing to do, rickety-tickety-tin. One day when she had nothing to do, she cut her baby brother in two and served him up as an Irish stew, and invited the neighbors in, invited the neighbors in. When at last the police came by, they rickety-tickety-tin. And when the police arrived, her little prank she did not deny. To do so she would have had to lie, and lying she knew was a sin, and lying she knew was a sin. My tragic tale I won't prolong, sing rickety-tickety-tin. My tragic tale I won't prolong, and if you did not enjoy this song, you've yourselves to blame if it's too long. You should never have let me begin, you should never have let me begin.